Hello everyone. Today we're going to learn how to solve equations that have fractions in them. Fractions might look a bit tricky at first, but there are two simple ideas that you must know that will make everything easy. First, you should clear the fraction. And secondly, you should use inverse operations like adding or subtracting when multiplying or dividing, which isolates the variable. Right now, I'll show you how and why each step works, and we'll check every answer at the end. Now first, let's work on some theory. What really is an equation? Although I mentioned it a lot last topic, it might still be a bit confusing. Well, an equation is like a balance stick. Both of these sides have to be equal. When fractions appear, all that means is that there's a mean part of a whole. The algebra rules are the exact same. Whatever we do on one side has to be done to the other side. Our main tool here is the LCD, which is also known as the least common denominator, which helps us remove fractions cleanly. If you clear the denominators early, you turn a fractional equation into a normal equation with integers, which in the end is much easier to solve. Now let's go over some of the steps. You don't have to follow these word by word, however they are helpful if you want to refer back to them. Firstly, you should identify the denominators and find the LCD, lowest common denominator. Then you want to multiply both sides by the LCD, which clears the denominator. Then you want to simplify the resulting equation, meaning that you collect like terms. Then use inverse operations to isolate the variable, and check your solution by substituting it back to the original equation, which is optional, but if you really don't think you got the right answer, this can be a very helpful step in the process. So let's take in an example. Here we have 1 over 3x plus 2 equals 5. Now, the first thing we should do is follow reverse BEDMAS, meaning that we do the addition and subtraction first over the multiplication and division. That means this becomes 1 over 3x because we minus 2 on this side, and we should minus 2 on this side as well to keep the equation balanced. 5 minus 2 is 3. Then we multiply both sides by 3. This allows us to do the same thing on both sides and clear the denominator. In this case, this is our least common denominator. Here, we get 1x, which is just the same thing as x, so we don't have to worry about that, and 3 times 3, which becomes 9. Therefore, x is equal to 9. Now, let's talk about why LCD works. Because you're really just multiplying both sides of the equation by the same number. This allows you to cancel it, and it's kind of better because instead of having multiplication distributing over addition and canceling the denominators, this allows the equations to be equivalent but removes the fractions. Equivalent equations have the same solutions. So let's find another example. This one has a lot more fractions, and it might be a little bit more difficult. But let's talk about how we can find the LCD here. The lowest common denominator, 5, won't go into 4. 4 won't work with 2. None of these really work with each other when you multiply them out. When you keep thinking, what is a nice number that multiplies with all these and cancels it out into a simplified term, the best number here is 20. That's because when you multiply everything by 20, you only have integers remaining. For an example, 20 times 2 over 5 is 8x. That's because 20 divided by 5 is 4. And then when you multiply with the numerator, we get 8 and take in the x. Same process goes with the next part, negative 3 over 4. 20 times 3 over 4 gets us 15. And we also have a negative there, so we drop that down. Then 1 over 2 times 20, which is essentially the same thing as 20 divided by 2, gets us 10. From here, we add 15 on both sides to get us 8x equals 25. And these cancel out. From here, we divide everything by 8 to finally reach us 25 over 8. Here's another example. This one requires distributive property as well. Here we should identify the lowest common denominator, which is 6. 6 times 1 over 2 will get us 3, and x minus 3. 6 times 1 over 3 will get us 2. Then 3x minus 9 equals 2, because we multiply each of these terms with the other ones, which will eventually get us 3x equals 11. We should then divide everything by 3 to get us 11 over 3. Now here's another example. 5 over 6 minus 1 over 3x equals 2. We really need to cancel out these denominators. So the problem is we can't collect these like terms right now because their denominators are not the same. Well, we can make both of the denominators the same, which means that since this is here, we make a minus 2 over 6 equals 2 with the x. This gets us 3 over 6 equals 2, which once we multiply everything by 6, because there's an x here, cancel out, so it becomes 3x equals 12. Three over 6 can be simplified to 1 over 2. X equals 2, which gets us x equals 4. Now here are some common mistakes that you should understand. First thing is that some people forget to multiply every term when you clear the denominators. If you multiply the left side, but you accidentally don't multiply some other term, you'll always get the wrong answer. You need to multiply every term, including those inside parentheses. Another thing are sign errors. For example, if you have something like negative 1 over 3x plus 3 in a bracket, make sure to multiply the negative here to the x and the 3. Another thing is that some people reduce incorrectly. Always reduce each fraction product step by step. And if you really don't know and you're unsure, you should always compute the numerator and denominator, then reduce carefully. Now, another time, some people just don't check their answers. And although this is fine because it's an optional step, it's better to substitute your answer into the original equation to see if you got it right or wrong. There's also another quick method that I think you guys should know. Instead of finding that LCD, sometimes people really multiply both sides by the product of the denominators. So, for example, if it's 1 over 2, 1 over 3, and 1 over 5, they'll simply multiply all of them and multiply every single side by that number. That also does clear denominators, but it might produce larger numbers that you'll need to simplify. The LCD is usually cleaner because it's the smallest number that works. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. Make sure to do the worksheets that are posted on the sites and have fun.